All right, class. First off, as always, good day. Um, Today, what we're talking about in this chapter is the Atlantic slave trade. There is a little stuff about how it went down, things like that. We're going to be examining where they got traded and by whom, and things like that. Okay. Um, but just like as always, if you don't have your packet for this, line sheet of paper will work. Just be sure that you put warm up notes, question, answer. That way I could see where you put each thing. Okay. So without further delay, let us begin. Okay. So here is your warm up um, picture for today. Now, what you need to do is analyze the picture. What do you see? Right? So make a list of things. What do you see? All right. Now, once you're finished, the second part of the question is this. What do you think is going on? What is this artist trying to say? Okay. So this particular political cartoon has words in it to represent people, so look through it, analyze it, and then write down what you think each one means. Okay, so here's the thing. The Spanish with Columbus, they did sail to the New World. Um, Columbus, knowing from the last video we talked about that the Earth was round. Now, the thing is, he didn't know how big the world was. They just knew it was round, right? So he says, why don't we go this way? Okay. And when they went, landed in the islands, the Caribbean islands, and from then on, Spain started getting all this stuff. Well, then Portugal was like, well, we want in on that game too. Remember that stuff? Now, here's the thing. Each country, Spain and Portugal, they wanted to set up colonies because colonies basically you can use, then have a base and then bring in goods and then send them off. All right. So basically, they were setting up bases where the areas they conquered. All right. Now, through these colonies, they would set up the birth of mercantilism. All right. Uh, Gold and silver were the top thing. Okay. Those were the most desired items because they were very, very valuable back then. So the thing is not to deprive, not just to straight take things from the colonies and leave them with nothing. The mother country would basically send out stuff to trade with them. They try to say that it was fair, but in reality, it was leaning more one side than the other. Because remember, gold and silver was very valuable in the old world, and so dressers and outfits and things like that, didn't match up. Honestly, if you went dollar for dollar, it didn't match up. It really favored the mother country as opposed to the colonies. All right. Now remember, you will hear this word time and time again, not only this year, but next year as well. The difference between exports and imports. Okay. Exports are things that are sent out, exit, right? So if that helps you remember what exports means, great. Okay. So the exports from the colonies were more precious than the items that were coming in, the imports, right? It's spelled different, but port, import. Okay, things are coming in, right? So hopefully that kind of sticks with you because you'll be using this word again the rest of this year too, and next year for your U.S. history. Okay. Okay. So here is the dilemma. uh, in order to get others involved, because remember, the government had ships, but they didn't have an abundance of ships, right? The government would have to spend money on other things, and then ships were not like how they're built now, just like boom, boom, there you go. They took time to create. So there were a lot of private ships that people had. So the government tried to get this balanced trade um, of companies to say, you know what, if you send your ships, you'll get something for it. You'll have, you'll get some percentage, things like that. Because the thing is, remember, in the colonies, their job is to get these resources, whether it's the gold, silver, food, lumber, whatever it may be, whatever the colony can provide for the mother country, they needed that. And the thing is, stuff like timber, wood, food, they they don't stay fresh for that long. Um, yeah, wood more likely wood, but again, aging, warping, things like that. But food, as we all know, will wilt and it will decay. All right. So that's was on that end near the colonies. In the mother country, to help the flow of the process, what they did was they improved the transportation. Okay. They either fixed up the roads or created new ones. Again, same thing with bridges and canals, either fixed them or made new ones. Because the thing is, they wanted that flow of system to go through a lot more easy than if there was bad roads, a carriage might break down, things like that. Um, you will learn something like this that actually the United States did in the 1950s, if I remember right. It's really interesting. Right. Now, here's the other part. In order to prevent other countries from selling stuff into a country and people buying that stuff, what a lot of other countries did was they put tariffs on goods. Um, Now, a tariff is basically a tax, okay? And it's usually done to things brought in from another country. So the imports from another country are taxed. Because the thing is, let's say you get something from, I don't know, China, right? Let's say, I'm going to say, like, say PlayStation. The price is down here, right? Now, if you buy it in the manufactured here in the US, they make it, things like that here, the price may be up here. So what the tariff does is that gap, what they'll do is they'll put a tax on that item to go either meet it, and usually what they do is bring it up a little bit higher. That way you're looking like, man, which one's cheaper? This one right here. And the thing is, that's how we are as people. We are going to buy the cheaper thing because, well, we work hard for our money. We want to keep as much of it as possible. So if you got one item, the same exact item, and there's a difference in the price, you're going to go with the cheaper one, right? So that's what happens. Okay. There is usually a repercussion to it. Usually the other country taxes the other country, but that's something that's totally different. You'll get that next year in U.S. history and in your senior year in economics. Um, but the thing is, they do that because they want the people to buy within their country. They want that money to stay within their country. Because the money, let's say gold coins, go off to, let's say, China, well, chances are they're not going to get that coin back. And that's what a lot of countries they try to do to keep that money in their country. People buying from them, making that economy grow, you know. Uh, Now, again, the colonies were important for their raw materials and the markets that they for finished goods. So if you look to the picture on your right, there's gold, silver, and bronze. Right, that's the stuff that they would dig out and basically send back, or they would melt it down. They had uh, a refinery place there on the colony. Melt it down, make it into bars, coins, whatever, you know. So that was the goal of colonies. Okay, so here is your midpoint question. Do you think tariffs are a good or a bad thing? Explain your answer. Remember, we talked about tariffs. And if you don't remember, just skip back a couple minutes and I explained it all to you there. The writing prompt is on the bottom. I believe tariffs are a good, bad thing because, and explain your answer. All right. Be sure you give your answer and then you have the evidence to support your answer. Okay. Okay. So here's the last bit of notes. Um, you have to remember that slavery is not new. It has been around since the days of the Egyptians and even beyond that. Okay. Usually, when one group conquers another, especially in older times, they would have them as slaves in one form or another if they didn't kill them. Um, Now, the demand for African slaves was actually started in Southwest Asia, where they served as domestic servants, just like in Portugal. Okay. Now, the demand for slaves really rose when the discovery of America happened. Now, one of the things they realized was that in the America, the islands, was that sugarcane grew really fast. And not only that, it was larger and it tastes better, right? There was something about the soil, the climate, everything that made the sugarcane a lot better than it was anywhere else. So the thing is, once that was discovered, plantations were created and they were set up in the Caribbean islands and in large part of Brazil. Now, the thing is, these sugar canes could be anywhere from 4 to 12 feet tall. All right. And if you look to the picture to your right, there's quite a bit of them. And you can see they're kind of planted close together because they could. And they would grow tall, but they would, you know, you didn't need much room. It's not like a tree, for like almonds, pistachios, and things like that, whatever. They're very much really close and they're thin, so you can make a bunch, right? But here's the thing: if you have that much, you need hands, right? There's only so much some people can do, okay? But if you're trying to get production, boom, 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 going, you need hands, and chances are you're not gonna pay somebody top dollar. You're gonna want to get them as cheap as possible. And that's where slavery comes in. Because slavery, you pay a one-time fee. That's basically it. And then, yeah, you gotta feed them and things like that. But that's where the mistreatment of slaves come in. Because they really don't want them to be too strong. They want them to be just enough strength to do the job, and that's about it. Um, and this kicks off into the slave trade, which we'll be talking about more in next video. So for right now, that's the end of this one. There is no end question. Um, so make sure your name's on the paper. When you go into class, be sure you turn it in to the black basket. Okay? Do not hand it to me. Do not put it on my desk. I've said this time and time again, but apparently some people still don't listen. All right? So again, put it in the basket. So that's all said and done. Hope you learned something new, and I will see you guys in class. And so have a good day. All right.